In answer to your first question, no, it's not as good as Frozen. In answer to your second question, so ever since they revived the princess thing with Tangle, Disney Animation's favorite shtick has been postmodernism, subverting small pieces of their well-worn, frequently criticized formula as a way of excusing sticking to that same formula in other areas, i.e. Frozen upending a bunch of gender and power tropes while keeping the big song merchandise sidekick game strong, or Zootopia bringing back anthropomorphic animal gimmicks but then going, okay, but what if it was political satire? So at first it's somewhat jarring that Moana feels like the most conventional feature they've put out since I can't even remember when, to the extent that it often feels like a storyline that's been Voltron together from some of the studio's greatest hits catalog. So stop me if you've heard this one, but our main character is a headstrong young woman of royal lineage from a highly tradition-bound society who dreams of following her heart to a different destiny, teams up with a wacky animal sidekick and a scene-stealing shapeshifter, and embarks on a disaster-averting mission that turns into a journey of self-discovery and leads to across-the-board reconciliation in the end. But, and this is a big, big but, I feel like a derivative setup in this case was part of the point, because Moana's most prominent mission statement is very clearly rehabilitating the cinematic and pop cultural presence of indigenous Polynesian cultures that Western storytellers, Disney itself most definitely, has relegated to set dressing and disempowered stereotypes in the past. And perhaps the calculation here is that showing those cultures to be compatible with the Disney Princess Iconography Factory is meant to be the engine of that very rehabilitation. So then, Moana is the chieftain-to-be of a Pacific Island tribe whose members are raised to fear venturing beyond their protective reef because of an epidemic of monsters and supernatural forces plaguing the wider ocean. But Moana, who possesses a secret magical ability to communicate with the ocean itself, believes said environmental chaos will soon imperil her island as well, so she defies her stern but loving father and heads out on her own to fix things by enlisting the disgraced demigod Maui, played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, to help restore a stolen relic whose theft is blamed for unleashing all the darkness in the first place. And if Moana's main goal is to gift Polynesian and indigenous peoples with a fresh cinematic hero narrative that celebrates a Disney-fied variation on their cultural mythology, but also reinforces their often overlooked and deliberately suppressed contributions to the history of exploration and thus human civilization, well, on that front, it's an unqualified success. It's a heroic, celebratory, affirming story about a people and a culture who just never get those kind of stories told about them on that grand of a scale. And that is so damn important that it really does end up rendering a lot of the other criticisms pretty secondary. But yeah, apart from that and the structural nitty-gritty details, it does feel kind of overly familiar and doesn't quite take off and soar the way the best of these things do. The songs are solid, if not exactly show-stopping. The Rock gets the funny song, and it turns out to be the best of the bunch, though it is pretty cool that a lot of them are also sung in authentic Tokelauan language. And while there's a novelty in most of the movie being Moana and Maui working out their various issues while being stuck together on a sailboat, you can pretty much work out what their respective arcs are going to be from the get-go. That having been said, I did find it interesting that we now seem to have moved ahead a step in the evolution of the Disney princess archetype as an empowerment figure, inasmuch as, like Queen Elsa, it's already a foregone conclusion as the movie starts that Moana is going to be the leader of her people, and no one makes an issue of that. The big schism is that her father is an isolationist leader and she wants her people to become more global, how topical, but the fact that she's also a girl never comes up, not once. Nobody in the movie ever acts like her gender is in any way tied to what she should or shouldn't do destiny-wise, and the movie doesn't make a big deal out of not making a big deal out of it, which in itself feels like kind of a big deal. I also like that they really do try to do something ultimately different with the villain this time around. Plus, yeah, it's not a surprise that the animation is gorgeous, but still, the sheer level of artistry on display is genuinely stunning. This is one of the best looking movies of the year. So, yeah, I wasn't blown away by Moana, but I liked it a lot. When I started writing out this review, I was thinking, 2.5 stars maybe, but no, it deserves to get bumped up to the full 3. Solid movie, take the kids, have a good time.